All right, guys. Good evening. My name is Robert Douglas. I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at Tuskegee University. In respect for your time and in the interest of us getting through this particular presentation quickly and so you can get to the remainder of your day or evening, I want to go ahead and start. It is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And welcome to the summer Zoom sessions for financial aid. So today, our topic is verification, selection, and clearing process. Okay, we're going to go over that particular process and how it works with the federal government and also in relation to Tuskegee University. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that this has been a very hectic time, an emotional time, a conscious time for all of us in the world and especially in the United States. And I'd like to just take a few minutes to have a moment of silence for those who are sick, those who have been affected by what's going on socially, what's going on government-wise, and just the status of COVID-19, et cetera, right now. So if we could just take a couple of seconds, for silence. All right, thank you for that. Again, I'm Robert Douglas, Associate Director of at Tuskegee University. And we're talking about verification, selection, clearing, and process. Before I move forward with the rest of the presentation, I do want to go over a couple of ground rules. We're going to make this more of a presentation and then conversation, where I have a Q&A session at the end. However, if you do have any questions that come up, I'm not asking you to remember that. If you'd like to write them down, you can, but please go ahead and put them in the chat. Myself, our executive director, and one of our staff members, Ms. Winston, are all going to be trying our best to answer all the questions that you have this evening, and we will be looking at the chat for those questions that you have. So please type in the chat any questions or comments that you may have pertaining to the topic at hand, okay? I think I'm going to be pretty accurate in covering information, but nobody's perfect. And like I said before, this is a conversation, parents and students alike. What I want to do first is actually invite one of our attendees and co-hosts actually to introduce themselves. Mr. James, are you able to unmute yourself, or did I lock you down?
You unmuted me this time, Mr. Douglas. I just want to say hello to everyone out there. Welcome to our financial aid Zoom section about verification. I'm A.D. James, the Executive Director for Student Financial Services, and I see we have a nice number of current students, current enrolled students, and prospective freshman students attending this evening. And hopefully at the end of the session today, which Mr. Douglas will talk about 30 minutes, and then we have a Q&A, we'll answer all your questions about getting financially through the verification process for the 2021, or rather for the fall semester. And thanks to everybody for joining us.
All right, thank you, Mr. James. As I don't know if I mentioned it before, Mr. James is our Executive Director of Financial Aid. I'm his Associate Director. And we try our best to work as a team along with the rest of our staff to make sure that everybody's taken care of. All right. So important information before I really dive into it is I want to make sure that we cover the bases for most of our students. The fall semester classes actually begin Tuesday, August 11th. The All University Conference, where faculty and staff will all be returning to campus, is going to be by August 10th. All right, so that Monday. For the fall semester move-in days for any new students who will be staying on campus are going to be August 5th through the 7th. Returning students, your day is going to be August 8th through the 9th. The last day for fall semester classes will be on Tuesday, November 18th, which means that basically everybody's going to go home for Thanksgiving break, and then that will be it until the spring semester. Final exams are going to be held on Thursday, November 19th through Saturday, November 21st. So you can find this information also on the Tuskegee website. If you actually go to tuskegee.edu, you'll see that there's a link for the coronavirus page. And then there is a link on that page to our return to campus. There's a return to campus page that we have dedicated for this situation that we're in right now. So you'll be able to retrieve any information basically on any questions that you may have via that website, any information regarding coronavirus. We have a page for that as well. Frequently asked questions and concerns are covered there. But again, if you do have any direct questions or concerns, you can always reach out to us and let us know. Someone asked if slides will be available by email to parents. We are recording this session. So this session is going to be made available for those who maybe didn't make it or need to go back and review some things. There are websites available as well for review, not only the Tuskegee page, but the federal government site, as well as some other partnerships that we have, and I'll be able to go over those as well. All right. I'm not sure anyone was able to see my face yet. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing real quick just to say hello to everybody. Trying to show a little TU spirit here, right? I see that we have current students like Mr. James mentioned, as well as some parents, maybe some alumni as well, and some incoming students. So I'm looking forward to you guys being on campus. We're looking forward to being on campus right now. That is the plan. Please make sure that you stay tuned in to the news, the government's announcements here in Alabama and nationally about decisions that will be made. Our president has regular announcements that she puts on our website as well. You'll see that under the coronavirus page, and you can also see that on the Return to Campus page. All right. All right. So I'm not sure if you can still see me or not while I'm sharing my screen, but here we go. So who decides and what decides federal aid award amounts? Well, as you know, you need to complete the FAFSA, which you can do at studentaid.gov, or you can use your My Student Aid app. There is an app for that now, where the federal government has created where you can actually complete that form. Once you complete the FAFSA, the U.S. Department of Education, particularly the Federal Student Aid Department within the Department of Education, they're the ones who actually review your FAFSA and make decisions about the form of aid or the amount of aid that you can receive. In addition to that, there's another level, and many people call us federal agents. Federal counselors, we are also federal employees. Any counselor that you meet in the financial aid on campus who reviews and awards aid is technically a federal employee as well. There is another review level. We on campus review your account in addition to the review that the federal government has done. And they may request us to do particular reviews as well, and that's kind of what we're talking about today. All right, when you actually list Tuskegee University on your FAFSA, you add our school code on the free application for federal student aid, they send us a report. You go to studentaid.gov to do that. As I mentioned before, My Student Aid app is also available, but within this information and within this report that they send us is based off of your FAFSA information. The FAFSA information that you have completed is based off of your 2018 federal tax return information, and that report should also be sent to you in 2 to 3 weeks. So not only does the campus or the institution that you're planning to attend, or any of the 10 institutions that you listed on your FAFSA, not only do they receive a report, or we receive a report, but you as a student will also receive that report within 2 to 3 weeks, okay? As long as you have a valid email address on file. So the email address that you included with your FAFSA that's where you're going to actually receive the report. Some of the things that the federal government actually verifies. Of course, you need a valid federal student aid username and password in order to log in and complete the application. They pair that with your social security number, your date of birth, sometimes physical address. Sometimes they go a little further to retrieve some credit information. So let's say if you had previous credit cards or other billings that you had and you need to verify your account, they may use that to verify who you are. If you need some help on verifying your social security number, I've provided the Social Security Administration Verification Office's number, where you can actually reach out to them to do so. Sometimes, whether you enter a wrong digit on the actual FAFSA, or if something's going on with your citizenship status, whatever it may be, if the federal government decides, hey, we need to verify something with this social security number, or it's not matching properly with this person's information, whether it be name, date of birth, or physical address you lived at, if they need to verify that information, they may put the Social Security Administration information on your student aid report. So you can actually contact them to get that rectified yourself. You can actually log back in on studentaid.gov after you receive your student aid report. If you see any discrepancies, you can log back in and make corrections to your FAFSA as well. Even if you think of something later, you haven't necessarily received your report back, you can always log in to your FAFSA again at studentaid.gov to make corrections as necessary. Some other things they're going to verify is your citizenship status, your marital status, and this is for both student and parent. They want to know or need to know if the student is actually married or not, and then they figure out the marital status of the parent as well, which tells them the financial information they need to retrieve. Basically, if both parents are living in the household, which can be a step parent as well, then that information needs to be included. So that takes us to why they want to confirm members of the household or some other financial information. All right, somebody asked when we can know the remaining balance owed on tuition. That's something that we cannot cover on one-on-one basis during this session. But if you contact your counselor, just send an email to your counselor or call your counselor directly. They'll be able to possibly cover what your financial aid is versus what your expenses may be. Now, I need to let you know that when it comes to what you finally owe and what it's going to take to financially clear you, you will need to contact the bursar office pertaining to that. They are the last step in getting you financially cleared to enter school. If you're able to sign in to TigerWeb, as someone just mentioned, if you are able to sign in TigerWeb, then you can review that on your TigerWeb account as well. And you can see exactly how much you have left to pay for the upcoming fall semester via your TigerWeb account. If you have any trouble logging into TigerWeb, or if you have more questions, again, you can contact the bursar office, and I'll put their phone number here in chat. So if you need to contact the bursar office, you can. Again, if you need us to tell you any awards that are on your account, if you can't access TigerWeb, we'll be happy to do so, but the bursar office clears you and tells you how much you owe. Other things that are verified are financial information from each of the people that are on the FAFSA. If that person is the student, spouse, or parent or parents, that's the financial information that's going to be needed on that FAFSA. And this is some of the information that comes up that the federal government wants us to verify as well. Sometimes that happens. Okay. One of the easiest ways, if you have this possibility, one of the easiest ways to go ahead and get that financial information verified upfront, where you don't have to go through the full process, is to actually use a data retrieval tool. Now, not everyone is actually afforded this opportunity, but if you are, please take advantage of it. The IRS data retrieval tool electronically transfers your federal tax return information to your FAFSA form. It's as simple as that. Once you put in your information as a parent or a student, you can use that tool for them to go ahead and collect it from the IRS. If you do that, there's usually no question about what your income is because it's come directly from the IRS. If you are selected for verification, which the federal government will do, in order for us to verify information on your FAFSA related to income information, you will have to contact the IRS anyway in order to verify those documents to us, okay? So it's easiest just to go ahead and get it out the way if you can. It's fast, it's almost instant, and you'll actually get a direct message immediately saying whether or not it's been transferred. If there are issues with it, then that may be something that has to be settled on the back end with the verification process if they select you. But it's accurate as well. But basically, to use the data retrieval tool, you will log in to your FAFSA application. In the finances section of the online form, you'll see a link to IRS button if you're eligible to use it. Click the link and you'll use your FSA ID to log in and do that. Now, if you're a parent and let's say if you've never been to college before, if you've never had a child to go to school before, you don't have an FSA ID or password, you can create one. You actually will have to, because you'll have to use that to sign your student's FAFSA, your child, in order to verify the information that's on there is correct. All right, I see that there are some questions coming through. Thank you, Ms. Winston, for helping me out with that. But you would transfer my tax information to the FAFSA form box and click transfer now, and that's when it happens. Like I mentioned before, there's an alert that comes up to let you know that it's been transferred from the IRS, so you don't have any doubt about it. It was transferred successfully, and usually any change that's made on your FAFSA, including this data retrieval tool, we get notification of that in 3 to 5 business days. That's about how long it takes to get to our campus. All right, so all the things that we talked about so far that the federal government will actually verify is not all inclusive. There are many, many things that they could look for, and there are several different types and levels of verification. It could be, a challenge of the parent's marital status. Maybe it was different from what it was last year or years before. It could be a challenge on the actual income. The adjusted gross income doesn't match what it should be. The assets are a question. Maybe there was something that wasn't listed on the FAFSA, which changed the AGI, the adjusted gross income with the federal government, that they can't see on the actual application. So there are a lot of different things that they could look into. Citizenship status. If you're a male over the age of 18, if you haven't registered for selective service, that's something else that could come up. There are a lot of different things that can come up for verification. With that being said, it can be a very in-depth process, mostly for us on the back end. We have to take most of the steps, but Kia Verify is a company that we've actually partnered with to get this process implemented and done for each of our parents and students, because the task can be a little, it can take us away from actually servicing you as clients, you as a student, you as parents. We, at one point in time, about 80% of our days were comprised of answering phone calls, emails, or sending information, retrieving information, and processing, all related to verification. So we can service our customers well. We partner with a company called Kia Verify right now. We've been doing that for the past couple of years. It seems to work out well. This is contact information. The way the process works is once you submit your FAFSA and you're selected for verification, first of all, it takes 3 to 5 days for us to get that information. But then we send that information. Once it's a valid FAFSA, we send that information to Kia to actually process your records and complete that verification with you. They usually contact you within the first 48 hours that they receive your record. That first contact is usually via email. They usually follow up with digital and voice communication after that, just to make sure that they can get the information needed from you. KiaVerified.com/Tuskegee is where you can go to get more information on Kia and the verification process as it relates to Tuskegee University. If you have any questions about your account setup or communication with and information transfer with Kia, you can also call them at the phone number that's listed. If you follow the site that I provided, they also have an email address that you can use to contact them. If you need to ever contact anyone on our campus, because of course, we're your most direct contact and we'll be helping you to process your aid. Thank you for sharing some of that contact information already in the chat, but I do want to put this slide here to let you know that we are here and available to meet with you, whether it be via Zoom or not right now. I know we're not seeing anybody in person. I know everybody's playing it safe, staying at home, right? So we don't bring anything to campus either. I know me and my family are doing the same, but these are the email addresses and phone numbers of our counselors on campus. I also serve as a counselor in addition to associate director. If your last name ends with I through, or begins with I through MI, then you can reach out to me at 334-724-4983. The most direct way to reach me is rdouglas with 2 S's at tuskegee.edu. You see for counselors A through C, you have Wanda Holly. For counselors D through H, for names D through H, you have counselor Jacqueline Stafford. For names MO through SM, you have Angela Martin. And for names SN through Z, Miss Marilyn Wilson Walker. Okay. Someone asked if you still need to verify if your aid is on your account. If you were selected for verification, we cannot actually award you any aid, any federal aid, until that verification is cleared. Now, some examples of aid that can be awarded without clearing verification are unsubsidized loans and Parent Plus loans. Also, any private loans, and we award you pending institutional aid, but it is a requirement that you complete a FAFSA and have a valid FAFSA on file in order for you to gain that aid, which means that you need to have that verification completed as well. Okay. So basically, the reason for that is the verification process helps us determine what a student's expected family contribution is. That EFC is determined by your FAFSA information by federal student aid, by the federal government. Once they make that determination of what, they can't make that determination of what your EFC is without having valid information. So sometimes that's what gets selected. So if you're selected for verification and haven't cleared it, we can't give you any need-based aid because need-based aid is based off of that EFC. Need-based aid is aid like Pell Grants, federal SELG grant, and subsidized loans. So the difference between a subsidized loan and an unsubsidized loan is that the federal government covers the interest on subsidized loans while you're in school. They don't do that for unsubsidized loans or Parent Plus loans or Grad Plus loan if you're a graduate student, which is one of the reasons that you can actually get those loans, unsubsidized, Parent Plus, or Graduate Plus, without clearing your verification. All right. So I know we have the resources session on next week, but I do want to point out 2 major partnerships that we have at Tuskegee University. It is not common for an institution to have partnerships with both the United Negro College Fund as well as the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. So I want to let you guys know that you have an opportunity as a potential student at Tuskegee or as admitted students at Tuskegee to actually gain scholarship opportunities through both of these organizations. So these are the websites, or you can just go to uncf.org or tmcf.org to gain more information and access to applications. uncf.org, and tmcf.org. So this is just part or one source that we'll be talking about next week, but these are major partnerships with the university that I need to point out to you. All right, thank you for Ms. Winston for chiming in with the questions, and I see that we have another one. How do I know if I'm cleared? Another good question. We're having that session week after next, but you know you're financially cleared when you know that you have enough aid on your account to cover all of your expenses for the fall semester, okay? So being financially clear doesn't mean that all the money is at the university, but it just means that you have everything in place to make sure your expenses are covered. You need to be financially clear just for the fall semester in order to be able to move into your dorm in the fall and also start classes in the fall. You don't necessarily have to have spring covered yet, but you do definitely have to have fall covered. And you get that information verified with the bursar office. That's who verifies whether or not you are financially cleared. They can tell you what the billing sheet is or statement, what's left for you to pay. I see there's another question. If you have access to your TigerWeb account, you can actually gain access to your billing statement through your TigerWeb account, okay? If you're trying to renew a departmental scholarship that asks for some of this information, you can get your financial aid award letter on your actual TigerWeb account. You can also get your billing statement on your TigerWeb account. If you need assistance with the balance or your billing statement and the accurate place to get that, you can contact the bursar office. If you need assistance, but you can find that as well as your financial aid award letter under financials under your TigerWeb account.
Travis, can you explain to the audience, we have almost 100 participants here. This is A.D. James. Who actually selects the student for verification? Is everybody selected? Does Tuskegee select them all? I want to be sure they understand that the process of verification, who actually makes the determination of who gets verified.
Okay. I'll go back a little bit before, and I did not specify that. Thank you, Mr. James. When I talked about who decides federal aid award amounts, well, the federal government actually makes the main decision about who is selected for verification. We don't have the formula for what they look at. So they say sometimes it's random, or some of your information on your FAFSA may provide a red flag. So it is the federal student aid, federal government, that actually selects students for verification. Now, there are some times where we, like I mentioned before, we as counselors on the institution's campus, we also are federal employees. So we are actually obligated to also review further the information that is on students' FAFSAs. So let's say if a student is filing as independent, but they don't, and so they don't have any parent information, but they also didn't list any income for themselves. Well, something's awry with that, right? So we may ask to verify some income because the federal government will require us to do that later if we don't do it now. So we are obligated to do that at some times, but it's usually federal student aid that's selecting students for verification. I missed anything with that, Mr. James?
You guys just want to make sure that the initial verification comes from the Department of Education.
It does come from the Department of Education. Somebody asked why your financial aid says pending. So we also require documents internally to verify that you want to accept the aid that you actually qualify for. That's a very valid question. But let's say if you are a student who chooses not to borrow loans that you qualify for from the federal government, well, we don't assume that for that reason. We have to get acknowledgement from you as a student to let us know that you actually want to borrow those federal loans. So we place them on your account as pending, letting you know that you qualify for them. But we can't certify those loans until you tell us to do so. You would do that by completing a federal direct loan application. You can find that form in addition to the TU data form, which we also require. On our website, tuskegee.edu, if you go under admissions and aid, you can click on financial aid. Under financial aid forms, we have both the TU financial aid data form and also our federal direct loan application. Once you submit those forms to us, we'll be able to certify those loans on your account. Keep in mind that if those loans are not certified, like I said, we cannot assume it, but if they're not certified, they're not going to count against your bill either. So that means that the bursar office won't be able to see that on your account. While I'm answering questions, I do have a poll that I want to submit to everyone, just to kind of get some feedback about how you feel about this particular presentation. If you will, please participate. I appreciate your feedback to let us know how you feel about the topic, the delivery for the topic, the medium that was used, etc. So if you could just complete that poll for us so we'll have a record and know what we need to change or improve in the future. If you'd like to shoot me an email at rdouglas with 2 S's at tuskegee.edu, you can also do that for feedback pertaining to the presentation. Somebody asked a good, and just in case, you know, not everyone is paying attention to the chat, I do want to repeat something that was asked in there. If you're having any issues with TigerWeb, or if you haven't gotten your login yet, you can't get in, and you know you've been accepted and enrolled as a student and you paid your deposit, everything is in order, but you can't log in, then you can contact our campus tech department about your login information at 334-727-8040. If you have questions pertaining to any of your enrollment documents, of course, you can contact our admissions department at 334-727-8500, or their front desk, you would change the last 4 to 8289. If you have any questions generally about financial aid, you can always contact your counselor, but if you can't reach your counselor, someone's usually there available to help you. So you can reach us at the main line, which is 334-727-8088. I am recording this presentation, and we will be posting not only the one from last week, but this week as well, and our future presentations, once they come about, online on the financial aid page, once we can get that cleared through marketing. But yes, we will be providing these presentations and make them readily available for anyone who needs to go back and review them. I know sometimes, you know, you have a hard time reaching people on campus, not only in our department, but maybe IT and some other academics and admissions sometimes too, but we are working our best to answer all of your phone calls and emails as quickly as possible. Bear with us. These are trying times for us too. So we also are making adjustments to try to help you as much as we can, which is one reason we're having this Zoom session and these consecutive sessions with the most popular financial aid topics, to make sure that we get your information that you may need by as many mediums or media as possible. So communication can't always be streamlined, so we make sure we reach out by a few different outlets to get you that information. So we thank you for your patience, and we are trying our best.
Douglas, stress to them the email addresses. That's the best way to get in contact with us, because we can answer emails after closing hours if a person, parent, or student wants to contact financial aid. And we're real good about answering emails.
That's right. And like you said, sometimes we answer after hours or check them after hours or first thing in the morning. So if you have something on your mind at 8 o'clock at night, we may not answer the phone, but if you shoot us an email, at least you jotted it down. And we'll be able to review it as soon as we can get to it. A lot of times you can get questions answered pretty quickly and a little more detail that way too. All right, let's see, we have about 61% of the poll done. I'll give just a couple of more minutes to see if anybody has any more questions or wants to actually participate in the poll. Again, your feedback is very helpful. We appreciate you. All right. I want to point out also that the admissions department is also having some Zoom sessions, and they're available on a weekly basis as well. So you can drop into one of their chat rooms or Zoom rooms if you have any questions or concerns. That's another outlet that they're providing, not only phone and email, but also the Zoom rooms. All right, as I mentioned before, I did not cover everything when it comes to verification or the FAFSA, and obviously not financial aid either in this session. So if you do have any more questions pertaining to your personal situation, please reach out to us directly. Every student has a different situation. Not everybody's the same. So let us know what your questions are and concerns are, and we'll be able to help you directly. The links for the admissions presentations, they were actually sent out via email. I'm not sure if they posted it on their site or not, but I know that the marketing team helped them send out emails just like they did for us, so you can have access to those sessions. If you don't have that link, you can contact the admissions department. I'm sure they can get you a link for that. All right. So 77% voted. Thank you guys for your participation in the polls. Thank you guys for actually coming to participate in this session. Hope it was very helpful for all of you. It's about 6:38 right now. And I think 40 minutes is, a good time for people to spend with us in the evenings. I hope I was able to address some of the concerns that you had. And if not, like I said, reach out to us directly. There is one more question. All right, so someone had a question pertaining to incoming student scholarships, whether it be transfer, graduate, or incoming undergraduate student. Admissions handles those scholarship opportunities. So you would contact the admissions department. Whether or not they would consider you at this late date, it really depends on availability. And I know they had some priority deadlines where students were accepted and enrolled. However, not every student accepts the scholarships that they've given, which clears it up to give to other students. But to be honest, I'm not really sure what that budget is or their timeline, so you would need to reach out to them directly. But I do definitely think it is worth reaching out to them. All right, guys. Well, if that's it, thank you.
We had over 100 students and families, prospective students, new students, and parents. We really appreciate everyone joining us. We'll see you same time, same station next week, and the topic will be what, Mr. Davis?
Financial resources.
All right, there we go.
All right, guys. So thank you for your time. Stay safe. Wear your masks. We look forward to seeing you soon. All right.